Welcome to By Generations, for Generations, a podcast commemorating 50 years of the Singapore investment company Temasek, and to celebrate the people who have been part of its journey. Temasek was set up in 1974 to take over a collection of 35 companies from Singapore's government in the wake of the country's independence. This allowed the government to focus on its core role of policy making and regulations. Since then, Temasek has evolved from a holding company to a global investor. And while the company is still based in Singapore, it's supported by 13 offices in 9 countries across the world, where the company's dynamic team keeps Temasek moving forward. Every year on June 25th, Temasek holds its Community Day. This is one of dozens of volunteering events for Temasek employees to give their time, ideas, and effort back to our communities. It's organized by Touch, a volunteer initiative driven by Temasek staff. Huang Zijuan has worked for Temasek since 2006 and is now Director of Investment in the Life Sciences team. She first went to a Touch meeting 18 years ago and currently sits on the group's committee, which manages finances and project approvals. Zijuan tells us about the enriching work she's done with various charities and the impact that has on both the beneficiaries and her colleagues.
Temasek, I think, when I joined, we were very different back then, right? And I think Ho Ching had a vision of how she wanted us to grow and take direct investments and sometimes concentrated risks. I think we have done that sort of investing role all these years. I think one of the things that has stuck with me that she shared in one of our town halls long ago was that Singapore cannot prosper in isolation. We prosper when our neighbours prosper with us. While we want to prosper, we are also not doing it at the expense of someone else, but that we are, let's say, investing in technologies, on sustainability, on green energy and things like this. It's really, hopefully, making a difference not only to us, for our investment portfolio, but to our communities, to the world as well. Touch has always been around. There was always an opportunity to do some community service within the firm. And I think it really stems from the firm also being supportive, that we not only enrich ourselves, but we also contribute back. And I think there was once you said learn, earn, and return. So I think Touch has always been a part of my life here in Temasek. Touch is funded through staff donations. So there'll be staff donations, and then the firm has kindly done a 1-for-1 matching. And with these funds, we are able to then support causes that our staff are passionate about. Having funds is really a big blessing because we don't need to worry about fundraising. And when we do need to fundraise, people are really generous, I have to say. And then I think just as a firm, we are very open for staff to volunteer. We all have 5 days of volunteer leave, whether it is Touch activities, whether it's your own activities, you can always apply for your volunteer leave. Allowing staff to take time off from work to, half a day, let's say we need to bring the beneficiaries out for a visit to River Wonders or to the bird park, things like this. I think generally our bosses are quite supportive of that. The first charity we adopted was SILRA, the Leprosy Relief Association. And I think we've continued to support them all through these years. So over the years, we've gone from sort of one SILRA to then adopting different homes within our firm. We've kind of broken ourselves up into your PE houses, right? So different houses, house adopts a home concept. And then we've also evolved to what we call the 1,000 Flower Projects, where basically everyone is free to, if there's a cause they're passionate about, it's a charity, it's a cause, we are happy to support. House adopts home. It's really our way of engaging charities for the long term, to build deep bonds with them, to really know their needs. One of the charities I recall, I think it was Silver, they needed basically new computers because they had just old desktop things that, took forever to start up. So from an efficiency perspective, it doesn't make sense for the staff to just be dealing with old hardware. So I think over Christmas, some of our staff back then from the IT and people who were technically more sound actually went and replaced the computers for them, do all the setup. So I think this is where we could use our skills at work to also help the charities very directly. So the House Adopts Home is really our way of making sure that we build deep bonds and really meet the needs, address the needs, not only of the beneficiaries, but even the staff who are there. We always tell the charities we work with, we want to help kickstart things that maybe other corporates are not prepared to fund at this point. But if they see a couple of years of results, then maybe they'll be willing to step in. And then we can go and, kickstart another project with you. So this long-term view that we take, it helps us also be more creative with how we work with the charities. Having been in T-Touch all these years, I think what touches me a lot is that a lot of the staff are really passionate. I see the way the staff put in their time, their effort. Sometimes they are just sweating buckets, right? And they're still being very passionate, very engaged, and really helping the beneficiaries. So that really touches me a lot. One of the things that we have, our sort of marquee event each year, is the Community Day. It happens on the 25th of June, which is our founding anniversary. And over the years, we've just exposed our staff to different groups within the community who have needs, whether it's at-risk youths, whether it's people with some physical disability, mental health issues, so even the senior citizens as well. So just exposing our staff to the parts of society who have needs that we may not be aware of. That has helped me broaden my perspectives as well. And I hope it's also been helpful for our staff to just be exposed to, the various needs and causes that are out there. I recall the year that we did it with Dementia Singapore. That one was pretty impactful because increasingly we do have family members or people we know who, have been diagnosed with dementia. And when we had the sort of pre-talk, when we had them come and educate our staff, there was so much engagement. I think the staff really felt like this is a cause that we know of, and some of us are living with it, with family members. And so it was very needful, and it was a good, sort of education for our staff. And also when we brought them out, engaged with the seniors, you can see that it's a very different experience like with them. I can talk about the Yellow Ribbon Project. So our very first chairman of T-Touch, I think back then, Kim Hui, he actually worked very closely with the Yellow Ribbon Project to come up with this, what we call the Project Naked Chef. And the idea was the problem statement was, I think a lot of the ex-offenders, once they've been released, what happens is they can't find jobs. So F&B seems to be an avenue that they will be able to find jobs, but these people are not skilled. So how do we bridge that? We give them training. And so he worked with Scie to come up with a course, a basic culinary skills course that, once a week, the trainer basically goes into prison, teaches them, and obviously not all of them, a small group. And some of them did graduate with a culinary skills certificate after that. So that was kind of the start of, seeding this sort of long-term projects, creative ideas of how we can better meet the needs of any group that we work with. Even with the Yellow Ribbon Project, another charity we work with is ISCOS, and it's a cooperative, for a lot of ex-offenders, and they support them and their families. So because we've been working with ISCOS for many years, including running one of our comm days with them, we found out that, early literacy was an issue. A lot of the kids, even at preschool, kindergarten, going up to primary 1, they cannot read. They don't know the alphabet. So we said, why not we try to see whether we can seed a reading program and help them to learn. So ISCOS said, yeah, why not? So we came up with the whole sort of phonics program. 2 of our colleagues actually volunteered, every Sunday to join in to help teach the kids. And so that Project Bookworm, we called it, and then it's since continued with sort of minimal funding from us. But the idea that we are able to kickstart this and say, hey, can we think about doing this for the youths or for the children? I think that was something that we saw a need, and then we find a solution for it. If we think about preventing sort of reoffending, whether within the family or the whole cycle where the kids have no guidance, and we have all these very hardworking charities who are case managing and all these things. So we want to be able to enable them to, deliver sort of the best care and help that they can to give these children a chance. T-Touch aspires to be the catalyst. We expose our staff and we hope that they themselves also start to support or feel passionate about causes, and we are able to catalyze that and help them, run with their projects. I think one of the ideas that we always say within the T-Touch committee is, it would be nice if one day we do not need to have to organize Community Day. Everyone has a cause that they're passionate about, and they go and start their own events, organize their own things. And 25th of June comes, all of us just goes out and does whatever we feel close to our heart. It's really a testament to our staff and my colleagues who are here. I think we all know that we are in a position of privilege, and to be able to give back and to be able to contribute and make a difference is important.
You've been listening to By Generations, for Generations, a podcast commemorating 50 years of Temasek. To learn more stories about the people who have been part of the company's journey, head to Temasek's 50 by 50 website, tmsk.sg/50 by 50. That's 50x50. Next time, we meet the man who spearheaded Temasek's role in Singapore's efforts against COVID-19.
When we were asked for help to send a team into the migrant worker dormitories to do testing, and we're talking about live COVID, we had a team that volunteered. They wouldn't step off.
Until then, goodbye.